Republican Thom Tillis is catching heat from people on the right. Tillis told reporters this week he would not be voting for President Trump's pick to be the D.C. U.S. Attorney.
That pick is a man by the name of Ed Martin. Tillis is against Martin's nomination because of his advocacy for January 6 defendants. Tillis said, quote, "If Mr. Martin were being put forth as a U.S. attorney for any district except the district where January 6 happened, the protest happened, I'd probably support him, but not this district."
Martin's argument is that some J6ers were over-prosecuted. A no vote from Tillis means Martin won't advance, would lead to an 11-11 deadlock in the Senate Judiciary Committee, since Republicans have a 12-10 majority.
Trump responded to the matter this week. Let's listen.
Well, it's disappointing because, I know Eddie's very talented. Crime is down in Washington, D.C. That's really up to the senators. If they, feel that way, they have to vote the way they vote. They have to follow their heart, and they have to follow their mind.
Executive Director of the Foundation for Freedom Online, Mike Benz, wrote on X, "People are not appreciating the magnitude of the Ed Martin situation. The prosecutor is on the top of the FBI. He runs all D.C. criminal investigations. He is the choke point for D.C.'s worst secrets. If Ed Martin is blocked and Boasberg picks, Trump 2.0's momentum would be totally paralyzed." This is a very interesting developing situation on the right. So Thom Tillis, Republican senator from North Carolina, is one of the more, I don't know what word you want to use, moderate or independent or
conservative, like that?
I would definitely not use that word, but maybe you would use that word. More at odds with Trump than anyone else just about in the Republican coalition, and has announced that he will not support Ed Martin, who is the choice for this D.C. attorney role. This is a very pivotal role, as Mike Benz points out, because this person is in charge of a lot of D.C.-based prosecutions, which end up involving the federal government, because that's where the federal government is headquartered, is Washington, D.C. This will paralyze what Trump people are arguing. A lot of the work that the Trump administration wants to do to clean up the deep state and so forth. And there's going to be a lot of fury at Tillis for torpedoing this pick, as he seems to have done. Without his vote, Ed Martin cannot be confirmed to this appointment, which will really sabotage the agenda.
Hats off to Tillis. That was a brilliant, brilliant move. But I think, seriously, you cannot drain the swamp. That's what Trump and MAGA want to do, drain the swamp, by replacing it with conspiracy theorists. So even if you agree that these legacy, older people in Congress, moderate people, traditional conservatives, like I like to call them, are sticking to the script that MAGA base doesn't like, you can't add people who are railing off about things that are not true, protecting, January 6th people. I know
January 6th people don't deserve a trial, a defense.
I think
we're against.
I'm against bashing violence, bashing officers' heads in. I'm against all that.
Too.
Right, so these people were there, and he wants to blanket pardon them. He actually riled them up on January 5th at the Stop the Steal rally. I know you know that, and told them, things like, let's go forward, and was ramping up the crew to stop at no means and things like this. And now you want him in charge of that same district? That seems absurd. I'm happy that it wasn't for any other district either, because I just don't think he's somebody who should be in charge with this type of behavior.
In his private capacity, he served as this is my understanding at least, a defense counsel for some prosecuted January 6 individuals. I think everyone deserves due process and the presumption of innocence and the right to an attorney. I mean, going back to our founding, John Adams defended the British troops who committed the Boston Massacre, because he believed that even people who were believed to have committed some odious crime deserved a defense and deserved their day in trial. So I don't think that makes you a conspiracy theorist to say that, or to say that some of them were overcharged. I mean, the guy who came in with the MAGA horns person,
he likened the Capitol Hill riot to Mardi Gras.
He solitary confinement.
He likened it to Mardi Gras. That's what he said.
I don't agree with every way that it's been characterized.
Is it like Mardi Gras when people were hurt, severely hurt? And
99% of the people there were engaged in not a cause I agree with, but in First Amendment protected speech and activism in the outdoor space. It was a minority of people who entered the Capitol. I believe that people who committed trespassing should have been charged for that with very light sentences. It's not a significant thing. People who committed violence against police officers should have been charged and were charged with serious crimes. I didn't agree with the decision to do a blanket pardon for everyone involved. I would have pardoned people who got egregiously long sentences who had committed no violent crime. Certainly, it's not all of them. I wouldn't have pardoned all of them, so I didn't agree with that tactic. Neither did Kash Patel, by the way. He said at his confirmation hearing, yeah, he didn't agree with the blanket pardon for all of them. J.D. Vance said the same. So, I think there's still room to think that the zeal with which the January 6th participants were pursued by the government was extreme. Even though, yes, there was significant. I'm not denying that there was significant wrongdoing and criminality committed. But they're still entitled to a defense. But that's something liberals believe in.
If the Republicans are the party, they believe in law and order. This is absurd that they want to put this man in office. You know, in a position like this.
I actually want people who believe in defense to be in.
This is common sense. This is just common sense. I mean, there's other Republicans that, if they had a little bit more courage, would stand up and say this is not appropriate either. We know that he can't get through with the votes, like Lisa Murkowski, Collins, McConnell. These are all people that have been vocal about their feelings on January 6th. So, like, there's not overwhelming support for all January 6th offenders, by Republicans blanket-wide. I think people are just more scared to speak up for Trump, and I'm happy that Tillis actually did it and was the first person to say, listen, we don't have to always be in lockstep and blindly support your lead if your leadership is not getting us to the right goal, which is making sure that people that deserve to be in positions and are capable and are going to do the job best
this is what I don't understand.
should be in that position.
This is what I don't understand from liberals. I thought it was a good thing to have people in top law enforcement, prosecutorial, investigatory roles who have some sympathy for and familiarity with the defense side of all of this.
You know how to spin.
That's a good thing. Because as a civil libertarian who supports due process and the rights of the accused and thinks our criminal justice system is overly punitive, I think that is a good thing.
I don't think.
And it's been a liberal left position for forever, that there's too much, that there's over sentencing, that the law enforcement has too much at its disposal, all of that.
Yeah, I just think when you look at January 6th, that was a very low moment for our country, and everyone pretty much with eyes should see that we don't want, our capital to look like that, to feel like that experience to ever happen again. And so the fact that he wants to campaign on the idea that everyone there is free of charge and was overcharged and agrees with the blanket pardon that most people do not agree with, even Republicans. It's kind of absurd to have him in a serious
We'll have to wrap in a minute, but the conservative response to that is it doesn't matter because Democrats stood by and endorsed widespread rioting in every city in America because of George Floyd and Black Lives Matter. So it is a selective concern about this one instance on January 6th when there was tons of rioting and looting and destruction and violence and crime that was excused by the Democratic Party. And so
we're going to have to talk about this later. We got to bring this back up.
The conservatives. All right, remember Kamala's infamously edited 60 Minutes interview? Well, it was nominated for an Emmy. You can imagine that Trump had a response. We'll discuss it. Stay tuned.